My father cut my hair unprofessionally. I'm almost bald, and I didn't even lose a bet. Also, the only hat that I had was pink. Today was not a good day. But, anyways, let's get serious. These education hubs, these places are truly such depressing, dystopian, post apocalyptic type places. Remember when Trump, after his inauguration this year in 2025, invited Modi? During this meet, most of you will remember the joint briefing of Modi and Trump that they did in front of the press. But there was a speech which was given by both Trump and Modi ji a day earlier in a much different setting. There were a couple of big screens on the stage. I could find the video of the joint briefing that they did, but not of the speech a day earlier. Maybe I didn't look hard enough, right? I think I either saw a live stream or a very recent video of the speech at that time when I first saw it. In it, Modi ji were rightfully so, Modi ji were rightfully so boasting about India's achievement and its successful steps in modernizing, advancing it, in and its successful steps in modernizing and advancing India. He says how we have the cheapest rate for a 1 GB data and among the cheapest internet prices, which is true, and I'm proud of it. And I think the figure was around 850 million Indian citizens are taking advantage of these cheap internet services. He has talked about this on several other occasions as well. So, everyone is online and has access to YouTube. All, all coaching institutes of the two exams that I told you about have uploaded and still are uploading an absolute ocean of videos on the entire syllabus. And so many of these online institutions have very cheap fees, like 3000 or 4000 rupees. And some even give full refund if you score a specific percentile. So, I don't see the need for any reservation. And if you argue against that, saying that even that amount of money is too much for you, and that even the internet is too expensive for you to get a strong chance to get into the best engineering colleges in the country, well, then, frankly, you don't deserve to be there in the first place. Taking into account the lowest common denominator and bowing down to the absolute bottom of the barrel isn't going to take this country anywhere. I have to say it. Everyone advanced, everyone advanced together. Sounds so good on paper, doesn't it? But as I've already told you, all good accompanies itself with bad. The obvious bad of this obvious good is that everyone go down together, right? Are you ready to risk that? I surely am not. And I ask you, the honest viewer, you, aren't the 20% keeping the 80% of us backward? Or am I just thinking too much? You be the answer. Three Idiots. Three Idiots is an Indian movie released way back in 2009, highest grossing film at that time, and among the highest right now. So it has truly stood up to time. This movie got love and appraisals from all over India. Very positive reception. This movie was way ahead of its time. The reason I say this, that it was way ahead of its time, is because it's been more than a decade since its release. A decade and a half, if you may. And it was, and if it was perfect for its time, then we would have seen people taking this movie serious and implementing these movies ideas and philosophies year by year, and we would have seen some aspects of that movie taking place in effect right now, right? But that's not the case. We would have seen something very different than what we see now if this movie was perfect for its time. What we see today is what this movie was trying to convey. These themes of inhumane people controlling these institutes, commodifying students, producing robots and circus animals, brain drain at large, ratification, absolutely vile, disgusting low IQ activities like ragging, and how it's very normalized. Students being a slave to their parents and sacrificing their passions, and in the end losing all hope and ending it all. You be the judge. Do we still see these themes today or not? Or have we learned in a decade and a half? We've completely pushed that part in our teenage life where we pick one of our hobbies. This thing that we are, this particular thing in which we are passionate about. And if we hone our craft in it for the next 3 to 4 years, we would probably see a bright future. Here in India, we've completely pushed this part by 3 to 4 years. Our parents tell us to just stick to these two fields that I talked about and get into a college, get a job, and then follow or pursue your earlier dream on the side. The problem here is that these jobs, because the mass rat race has flooded them, come with bare bone income. I feel like our culture kills innovation and curiosity. I used the word probably earlier. Our parents would spend a fortune on a rat race because at least they know the success rate is like 1 in 150 or 1 in 200, and we like to be part of the sheep herd rather than on a field most definitely in which there is most definitely less people running, lesser than 1 in 150 or much lesser than 1 in 200, rather than on a field in which there is most definitely less people running with us and would earn us more because the mass rat race isn't flooding it, but we don't know the confirmed success rate in it. I think there is a need for exposure to different careers. Funnily enough, not for us, but for our parents, for the older generation. Remember the fourth scam in India? What was it? The parents. They promised us a heaven. If you don't believe me, ask yourself if it's true or not. Every JEE aspirant's parents tell them that life would be a piece of cake after getting into IIT, which is obviously not true. Just getting into IIT isn't enough. You obviously have to work. You obviously have to work hard all 4 years to ensure a good package. And even then, life in India is full of hurdles and doesn't mean much. I'll get on with the last sentence later on in the video. Keep it in mind. Life in India doesn't mean much. Students getting scammed isn't is obviously not only limited to these two exams I talked about earlier. A more recent example is the SSC exam in 2025. It's the same rot. The exam starting half an hour before the designated time. Servers keep crashing, unresponsive systems. They ask students to choose three locations for their exam centers, but students get completely different exam centers 500,000 kilometers away from their centers, and for some, it's not possible to cover such distances. The center which were given had a notice in front of them saying that exam has been cancelled or postponed out of nowhere. Some students getting these centers in the middle of jungles, villages, and farmlands. Some venues also had cows and buffaloes on the ground floor. More than half of the paper repeating in the succeeding shifts. Mouses not working, systems hanging, extra pens weren't given when the pens weren't working, biometric systems not working. There were even bouncers present in some centers to punish those who raised their voices. And students even got detained by the police. It's everywhere. There were guidelines established for the regulation of coaching institutes in January 2024. It stated many very important things. Notably, I would like to talk about two things in particular. It said no coaching center shall make misleading promises or guarantee of rank or good marks to parents/slash students for enrolling them in their coaching center. Good, I like it. No coaching center shall enroll students below 16 years of age, or the student enrollment should only be after secondary school examination. Very good, I agree, I like it. But the fact that it took them so many years, so long, it took them to notice and observe rising student unaliving to get to here. It's when you drive through when you drive through these coaching hubs, you see such predatory flyers, posters, banners, and parades, huge truck parades. It's like these places are run by mafias, and instead of drugs, they buy toppers, and their whole trade involves buying and selling dreams and hopes. My chemistry teacher once told our class something. He was from Bihar, a state in India which is widely recognized as very poor, both in financial terms and in civic sense terms, which is largely true, but the ones who have retained some IQ points are some of the most well meaning, kindest, and empathetic people ever. One day in the morning, we haven't had a single holiday in months, so the whole class had a tired look on their face, and a couple of them were even sleeping while in class. So our teacher, he tells us how the 14-year-olds, he tells us how the 14-year-olds that come in these centers look so tired. Their faces look like the joy have been sucked from them. The artist inside them has been wiped off. Mind you, we were 18 at the time. At the time he told the story. The institute he was talking about starts with the letter A. You know it. I think any an old tuition for 10th standard or lower is a complete waste of time and money. If you think not, you're part of the problem. And to some extent even after 10th, but I have immense respect for my principal in 10th standard. I did my 10th from a DPS in Haryana in my own city. A couple of months before our board exam started, she called all the 10th class in one room and talked about our future. At that time, I was dumb, stupid, and low IQ, so I didn't really grasp what she was saying or what she was talking about. She said, "Don't go to कोटा. बच्चे छोटी छोटी गलियों में अपनी जान ले लेते हैं. Children take their lives in these small, suffocating streets. Don't lose yourself in this rat race," she told us. I went home and even told my mom about it. And she told me, "Yeah, I've heard some things about it too. How in these places, even missing one day creates big backlogs. And because of the pressure cooker, these backlogs never get finished, which creates even more stress over time, and this pressure cooker keeps on boiling. And many don't survive it. There, there are two reasons, and this is the first one, as to why I'm still here. If not for this, I don't think I would be here. Now, let's talk about these colleges, IITs, the best engineering colleges in India, and among the best in whole of South Asia. Keep in mind that these institutes like IIT, NIT, and IIM are the top of the top ones in their class, and and students go through all the previously defined route to come here. There were 98 student self-unaliving from 2018 to 2023 in these prestigious institutes, 39 being only from IITs. There was a rape case in IIT BHU in their own campus. There's multiple other such cases. There's also a wide number of ragging cases in IITs. I have already expressed my thoughts on ragging. Very low IQ, peasantry activities, which often in these cases leads to a loss of life. It's really normalized across all engineering and medical colleges. Children are the image of God, and there's something extra evil. There's something extra evil and vile in child on child crimes. Oh, well, you might say ragging is actually healthy and good for your character development. Would you say the same for your daughter? Also, kids are stupid, dumb, and low IQ. And stupid, dumb, and low IQ people more often than not take things to an extreme. So, there was an incident in IIT Kharagpur where a student lost his life. It was first regarded as a self-unalive case, but later it was found that the body had stabbings and gunshot wounds. Something as significant as stabbing and gunshot wounds found so late. Keep this information how people are automatically branded as self-unalive cases. And in these specific cases, 99% of the time, it is not self-unalive. Keep it in mind. It will be coming through later on in the video. JEE Advanced is the exam to give to get into IITs. In the years 2024 and 2023, 180,000 students gave this exam and around 20,000 got into IITs. In 2023, out of 20,000, 4,000 were left without a job, while the rest 16,000 got it. In the year 2024, this figure doubles. Out of 21,000, 8,000 were left without a job. Now, let me paint you a picture here. 1.5 million gave JEE mains. 180,000 qualified and gave JEE advanced. And only 18,000 got into IITs. IIT Bombay, being one of the top IITs, had about 2,000 students registered for 2024 placements, and only 36% of them 712 students were left without a job. Now, how did I paint this picture? We used a large sample size and we kept narrowing it down. Let's paint another picture in your mind using the opposite method. Think of the 1.5 millions out there who couldn't fit in the 50,000 picture of IT or NIT, and anything below is just not worthy or valuable in the eyes of most of their parents, in all of their parents, really. 18,000 out of 180,000 seems iffy still, but okay, I get it. But 24,000 out of 1.5 million, that's hmm. The last IITs and NITs were founded in 2016 and 2015 respectively. And even in this top sphere, even in this top sphere, the new IITs don't hold up to anywhere near the same level as the older IITs. So just so you know, there's multiple levels of concentration here. Why could we not have started five new IITs or NITs in one decade, or or expanded upon or given more strength to the new and existing ones, because they again don't hold up to the same standard as the old ones or anywhere near it. I have a theory. Does not matter whether you agree or not. It is the popular view of the people, not only of our own, but also foreign, that as soon as they hear our country's name, poor, low IQ, no jobs, come up in their minds, right? So the government would distill down top of the top ones so that to these allegations they can say, "Eh, best engineering colleges in India, sir. Among the best in South Asia, sir. Google employees and CEOs, sir. Boosting other countries' economies, sir. पड़ेगा इंडिया तो बढ़ेगा अमेरिका, sir. Because if you think about it, 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 out of 1.5 million is still above average, no? It's really just to protect the image of the government. And going back to that question, why could we not have built five of them? Isn't the middle class, which is the vast majority of the Indian society, already paying so much tax? Remember the line in the parliament, we pay taxes like the UK and we get services like Somalia? I know for sure from the data we have that capable students would fill these places. And as for the professors, I find it hard to believe in such a populous country in the big year 2025, in the 21st century, you can't possibly find and train these PhD holders to become professors here. Or are they all leaving India? But why would you? Why would you? You would rather close down schools because students failed board exams there instead of re-evaluating, training, and improving the faculty there. I get it. You're incompetent. I get it. But at least spend some valuable time and money for the ones who have, through the grace of God, dodged this entire rot, this entire filth. How many gold medals did we get in Summer Olympics 2024 last year? How many did China get? Surely they must be doing something right with their human resources, right? That we in India aren't doing, right? But China bad, boo, one party system, boo, CCP, boo, communism, boo, China bad, right? At least we have democracy, right? What good that does us? You could say that I couldn't upload this video in China, right? With such with upload this video in China with such a heading, but I could upload it in India, right? Only time will tell. Since we're on this topic, I don't particularly believe in democracy. I think voting should be earned rather than be given as a right. I don't think everyone should be able to vote. Also, I would much rather live in an authoritarian state where the people in power stay in power for the next 5, 10 years. No elections. As long as it means that the entire expenditure for elections, which is a quite a big sum of money, especially in India, if you've ever seen the money, if the entire expenditure for elections is spent on educating the country from the bottom up and fixing the country's necessities first. My fingers were crossed this whole time for the last 1 hour or so, which means that all I have said up until up at, which means all that I have said up until now was false, was fake. It was a complete lie, and my fingers are still crossed behind my back. But you can tell, can you? But they still are. Now, this is the miscellaneous section of the video. I will be talking about different things and touching upon them, but not for too long as the video is already too long. And because of this reason, I won't be elaborating on every little thing. I encourage you to be high IQ and read between the lines and form conclusions based on the info provided. And if you think I'm wrong, the internet is in your hand, on your fingertips. On the topic of criticizing big companies, remember when I talked about the famous faces of these educational institutes? These people are gods to students and have very fragile ego. They take down videos as soon as someone uses their name and doesn't absolutely degrades them and exposes the swamp, the filth they operate in. You have just seen, and you have previously seen, and you will see many instances of people in India uh, celebrating this god culture. They make humans gods and not actual gods. Another example is the at that time a very big institute, Byjus. It's full of fraud, scam, and scum. Very predatory sales tactics. They would sell hopes to the parents and they would enroll their children in their programs. And midway, they realize that the education is subpar and they get their kids out of this mess but still don't get their money back. Even if they are under the refund policy. And more often than not, the people from Byjus wouldn't pick up the call. And even if they did, they were very threatening and very abusive. There are multiple phone calls from their companies on the internet, and they are all very famous clips. There was a startup called Whitehead Jr., which promised to teach coding and machine learning to your 8 and 13-year-old. It had a fake Facebook ad. It had a fake Facebook ad of a certain someone called Wolf Gupta who got a job in Google by studying from them. Funny thing is, this Wolf Gupta is sometimes 12-year-old, 13-year-old, and in another ad, he's 16-year-old. He has 1.2 crore salary in one ad, and in another, he has $1.2 million salary, and in another ad, it's 150 crores. There is a YouTuber by the name of Samuel Miller who makes fun and shits on their marketing videos. Rightfully so. Watch his videos and you understand the absurdity of these ads. The absurdity. They had bold claims like they would fly kids to Silicon Valley if they spent 40 hours on their course. Byjus bought Whitehead Jr. in 2020. They had a very famous Indian actor Shah Rukh Khan and Messi as brand ambassadors. Very expensive, as you could tell. And then and then came the massive layoffs in the company. And we've been seeing trends of these massive layoffs still today in 2025 and in 2024. Now comes a YouTuber called Pradeep Punia. What he did is he exposes all the filth in Byjus and Whitehead. The fake reviews on Play Store, subpar, low IQ, for show teachers. They lie about the teachers' qualifications, extremely toxic work culture in the company, how they treat their employees like shit, how they pay them half or outright refuse to pay them. Just look at that video of how the supervisors talk to their employees. It will send chills down your spine. And these are the people who have the job of convincing your parents to get you enrolled in their courses. Just imagine. They removed this guy's videos. They bombed his channel. They bombed him on Twitter. They bombed him on Quora. And they bombed his Reddit channel. They filed a 20 crore defamation case, around 2.3 million US dollars, against him. But his concerns were raised in the parliament. They withdrew it. So, very good. A huge victory. CoffeeZilla, who is a YouTuber who is also famously known for exposing and uncovering scams, also covered this. I feel like this topic would have been too big to explain or talk about, and it's already kind of self-explain, and this topic is already kind of self-explanatory. So all I'm gonna say is civic sense in and out of India. I'm gonna leave it at that. This happened in Bihar more than a month ago. I think 3 months ago. I might be wrong, but it happened this year and very recently. Five members of a family were burnt over suspicions of witchcraft. I saw a comment under the video. What Bihar is to India, India is to the world. The people who did this vote, by the way.